the Hodge Pack. Settle in right now. It is time for the Hodge Pack. Sports, life, and everything in between with Josh, Misty, and Hodge. Going live. 3, 2.
Good morning, good Black Friday morning on 106.9 The Country Giant. It is time for the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. Right here on 106.9 The Country Giant, we are at our Potosi Live studio here in the Mall of Abilene. Hoping to see some people walking by. We normally have mall walkers. I'm hoping to see somebody walking by with a big TV, a big something. As Black Friday, I noticed lights were on in some stores a little bit earlier. We were not just the only one open this morning. You got Hodge, no Misty, no Josh, but we do have some brothers. Former guest host Evan Harris and alongside brother Colin Harris. I've mentioned we don't have the Manning brothers, but we have the Harris brothers. We are presented by Lida Land and Cattle, and our guests appear on our Pest Patrol phone line. Guys, good morning.
Morning, Hodge. Good to be here.
Colin, up from H-Town, where I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that being at H-Town and see what this Houston Texans issue is. But Colin, appreciate you being in this morning and willing to wake up and come talk some sports.
Appreciate it, Hodge. Glad to be in West Texas and talk about sports.
Well, we got a lot to talk about. Josh has already texted and said he is very disappointed to be gone. I'm sure he and Misty are, and Misty may be aligned. There's no telling. Misty, we may text her in between breaks. She seems like the type, she's always taking pictures like her and Colin's out and about and when Ethan's in town. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's not Black Shop Friday right now, Black Friday shopping today. But Josh texted and said, man, hates to be gone. He's out with his family. And they said lots to talk about. And there is a lot that has happened. We've had 2 Cowboys wins since we've had our last show, which should seem like a monumental feat after what we've seen the previous weeks. College football had literally a cluster of things happen last Saturday where teams that were supposed to win didn't win. Coaches that have maybe been on the hot seat flipped the burners on whose warmers got hot. And then, of course, just a lot of things going on. High school football, some of the other big things that have happened. We mentioned a few weeks ago, it was the first time in Abilene history where McMurray, Hardin Simmons, and ACU had all won conference championships. Winning with that, unfortunately not McMurray, but Hardin Simmons and ACU both getting to host first-round playoff games tomorrow. A familiar foe coming to Abilene and Mary Hardin Baylor, a battle of, if there was an SEC level of battle between Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M, and Texas, it would be Hardin Simmons and Mary Hardin Baylor. It's been one that has been a battle for probably the last, there was a stretch where Mary Hardin Baylor wasn't quite there yet. The Jimmy Keeling years it was all Jimmy Keeling and the Hardin Simmons Cowboys. And then Mary Hardin Baylor came around, won 2 national championships, and Burleson's got them rolling, and you get to host tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's hard to play a team 3 times in 1 year, but at the same time, I do think our hometown Cowboys have what it takes this year.
And so Hardin Simmons will play tomorrow, and also playing tomorrow is the AC Wildcats. We've been kind of following them throughout the year. Been fortunate to have Coach Patterson on, Ritze Vase, and of course Sam Hicks and Maverick McGyver. We had them right before the Tarleton game, and today we're going to have Will Schaefer and Blaine Taylor as they get ready tomorrow, 2 o'clock, to have host Northern Arizona at Wildcat Field tomorrow. So they'll be here today at the top of the hour for our Big Country Electric Mindtown segment as they look again, made history a few weeks ago at Tarleton, winning the conference, and now getting to host a Division I playoff round game tomorrow. So lots to cover, lots to get through. We will have Misty's Bag. It'll just be brought to you by Hodge, always brought to you by Mulligan's, which, again, go check them out. But again, lots to cover today. We're going to dive into our Lawrence Hall headline report. Actually, before we do, we talked about this, so we'll make it all. Part of our headline report is we ate yesterday. What was Thanksgiving like in the Harris house?
I mean, it was actually kind of chill. One of our other brother, Peyton, he's coming in today. So from that perspective, just a good day of football, food. We got to play a little aggravation, which is a dice game. I mean, you roll dice and marbles and that kind of stuff like that.
I thought aggravation was the one where it was going, and if you didn't fill in all the spots, it would blow up.
No, that's
or was that anticipation?
Sorry.
No, was that anticipation? There is a game where you had to put the pieces in, and it was ticking down, and if it didn't it exploded. We'll be looking that up. You might be able to find that on Black Friday this week in your local stores where that game is. So aggravation.
It's like Wahoo. You remember
Oh, yeah,
Wahoo when
yeah,
you were a
yeah,
kid?
yeah.
So
Wahoo.
How was the Cowboys' first quarter, Miss?
I slept through that. That's usually when I take a nap. Is after probably about an hour after we eat. A good nap on a Thanksgiving Day is good.
So which a lot of people were anticipating that to be the nap game of the three yesterday. And as a Cowboy fan, it ended up being okay, even at the end, which Evan, you caught that part where it started to get kind of close and entertaining. Because I'm not gonna lie, when everybody's like, "Yeah, the Cowboys got this," I was like, "Y'all not remember we should have lost the Commander game, or at least should have went into overtime if the guy that gets paid to make extra points would have made that." And so I was really kind of like not finished yet, but so I talked about this and thought about this morning. Honestly, your mom, not y'all, moms of you too. You didn't have two. Sorry, Jill. But your mom was a home ec teacher for years, and you said they bumped it up to family health science.
Family and consumer sciences.
Family and consumer sciences. That just sounds like I don't know what all that sounds like, but it sounds like TEA had to get clever with their letters. So what's it like? I mean, I'm assuming mom's a good cook.
Very good cook.
What was the go-to item at the Harris house yesterday?
The best side is potato supreme, which is essentially mashed potatoes with cheese and sour cream on top with some bacon. I mean, it's just, you can't beat it.
So it's a very loaded supreme type mashed potatoes?
Pretty much.
Oh, wow. I would probably go extra bacon.
Yeah, that's always solid. She does some, this year she didn't, but sometimes she makes macaroni. Have you ever been to Riata in Fort Worth?
Yeah.
So there's a macaroni dish that has bacon and jalapenos and stuff.
So
like
macaroni didn't even make the list this
that.
year?
Not this year, but you got to
Wow.
remember, we had a little bit smaller crowd, so you didn't want to have like 90 people.
I'm really hoping that's not the SMU of sides that feels like they should be in but didn't get to make the playoffs. I'm not gonna lie, macaroni made it. I actually made macaroni via way of Honey Baked Ham Company. So Laura Rutledge, everybody knows I'm a fan of Laura, and she's been on the show, and great follow on Instagram and Twitter. And so she, I'm assuming, endorses or something with Honey Baked Ham and all these different things that are easy. And I went up to the Cowboy game. I got to watch the Texans beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football, stayed the night, and then that day swung through one of the Honey Baked Ham, and they just have boxes of macaroni and cheese that you throw in the oven and stir, spin, and serve. So I brought that, and then a coworker of mine and another friend of the show, Brandy and Lauren, talked about these these cinnamon brown sugar carrots. And so I thought I can make that. And so I looked at the recipe. You throw carrots in a crock pot, and you pour some salt and honey, or salt, butter, and whiskey was optional. So I went ahead and optioned into that. And so I poured that in, and you let them sit for a little bit, and you throw some honey and brown sugar and some cinnamon on, and they were eating yesterday. So, and everybody, as far as I know, are still alive and not sick.
You know, there's people listening right now that probably are like, man, he's really not spreading his wings, but that is Hodge spreading his wings.
That is huge. I mean,
it's huge. Like,
now, granted, the macaroni and cheese was already kind of made, had to be put in the oven and all that. That was a big deal. I mean, you still had to push buttons and get the degrees right, and not leave it in too long. And so, yeah, so that was there. I'm a big dressing guy. Y'all dressing people?
oh yeah.
I will tell you, and I don't know if this is a hot take, and I won't take it or trash it. We got that later, but I do think turkey is overrated. Give me ham any day of the week.
Evan
Wrong,
does not
wrong
like
answer.
ham. So no, turkey and ham are both good. So I don't discriminate there.
No, but it was good. And so, but just talk about how having a home ec teacher as a mom has to be in clutch. And so we'll look forward to an opportunity to have supreme mashed potatoes later on sometime soon. Because Jill, I know you're listening, because that's what parents do. So let's dive into some of it. Baseball season, like the end of 2024, the year's almost over. Before you know it, pitchers and catchers will report, and the Dodgers are going to be reporting and having a new pitcher, Blake Snell, 5-year, $182 million, and the Dodgers just probably became the double favorite for next year.
Yeah, they were the favorite before, but now it's like, oh my gosh, the rich get richer.
And you have this Blake Snell coming over, big contract, money's money. I look, and I said it in our little break before we started the show, that the Dodgers are going to become the Yankees. Everybody wanted to go to the Yankees. And that there really wasn't a stretch where everybody was flocking out to LA, but now you're starting to see that Freeman, Ohtani, now Snell. Of course, Mookie Betts was one of the first ones that headed out that way. And I was wrong. I thought the Dodgers would not win, but money is happening. And so anyway, they're leading. The other thing that was big last night, we'll get into the NFL games if we have time, but we're not going to leave them out, is a big game was last night in college football. A lot of people probably didn't watch it, but the Memphis-Tulane game was a huge game last night, just simply for the group of five, the other teams. Tulane had a chance, and it went from 30-something to 2% last night as Memphis beats Tulane at New Orleans 34-24. And we're going to talk about it in the next segment, but what's your thoughts on this, on the new playoff system? To me, I think it's the greatest thing, not since sliced bread, but pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I see in the system is it's made every game like relevant. And in the old system, you only had a couple of games that were super relevant, but a lot of games are relevant this weekend. Maybe your conference championship weekend, it's all in good shape.
Still a lot of dominoes have fallen the last 2 weeks. Week 14 this week, and then conference championship week. So we'll see what happens. But group of five, I think, got solidified last night.
Yeah, and I think now Army's going to get to host the conference championship if they take care of business tomorrow against UTSA, and so now it looks like it's Boise State's to lose if they want to figure out a way to move forward. And be that possibly with a Heisman Trophy winner as well. Again, that's our Lawrenceville Headline Report. We do want to there's a lot of football left. Be looking on that Dave Campbell's app. Don't forget tomorrow, Hardin Simmons is playing at home. 12 o'clock kickoff for them, 2 o'clock for ACU. Wiley and Hawley and Anson's seasons comes to an end last week. But still a lot of big country teams left. Jim Ned's playing tonight. You still have Stanford and Cisco playing as well, in a few six-man teams as well, playing in the high school football playoff. So I posted on our Facebook page yesterday. I was fortunate enough to do that once coaching at Merkel. When you get to coach and have practice on Thursday of Thanksgiving, that's always a big deal. I got to watch it. I guess Andy and I did as broadcasters a couple of years ago doing that. So Thanksgiving practice is always a big deal. Again, that's our Lawrenceville Headline Report. Hey, they got Black Friday sales too. Head over there and get you a brand new truck, car, or SUV. Corey and his sales team will get you taken care of. When we come back, we'll talk about those dominoes that Colin were talking about as the college football playoff system, the 12, the greatest thing they've done, smartest thing they've done in a long time. Who will be in, who will not be. We'll be back right after this.
Happy Thursdays, Fight for Pressure.
Sorry, I thought when you were taking your headphones off that you were doing something.
No, I dropped my Lee Corso
Pencil.
Not so fast.
All right, so that's there. All right, so we are college football. All right, so who is currently in the top
For college football?
Randy? So Ole Miss is out right now at 14.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Alabama is out.
Yep, correct.
Now, I know the top 12 does not mean those are the 12 that are
Yeah,
in.
because 16 right now, Arizona State will be in.
Yeah, so essentially
So-
top 11 plus Arizona State.
Joel Clapp was on the ticket this week, and he said that it's not a guarantee that the Big 12 gets somebody in, but don't they
The
get
Big
an
12
automatic?
championship is in.
I think that was a misspeak. So, because it's the group of four that all get an automatic qualifier, correct?
But I think I think what may happen though is if the Big 12 isn't ranked as high as Boise may get the bye.
They do, that's correct.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the-
Okay.
it's the-
I that must have been what he
It's
was
the four
talking about.
conference champions, so group of five.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Power Four, whoever the
I'm
high score are. get a box.
So this week, Clemson is rooting for Syracuse.
Big time.
Puts them in. SMU's got to finish off Cal tomorrow.
Yeah, which, I think they got that, but
It's a long.
it'll be a
fight.
closer game than I think most.
And I think Miami is playing at Syracuse. Yep. So, and I guess some of these other ACC people,
In Miami, SMU,
SEC,
oh,
they're
it's going to be hard for a 3-loss SEC team to be.
well, but I think
a shootout.
my question is, I don't think they're very good, and I don't think there's any way to happen it. But I mean, Lincoln Riley's he's not a great coach. It's each day is seeming.
He probably needs to beat Notre Dame.
That's what I'm saying. If they would have beaten Notre Dame, now that opens up another door.
Because don't you think Notre Dame falls out? If it
Yes.
is?
Yeah.
I mean, Northern Illinois,
Well,
USC would be pretty rough losses. Yeah, and you're right. Tulane was 17 on the rankings before last night.
Summerall's probably, already looking at the next gig.
Yeah. What's crazy is the Big 12 and how many teams still have a shot at playing in the championship. There's no win in your end team. You still have to have other things happen.
It is the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between right here on 106.9 The Country Giant. Don't forget to be sure you can download, subscribe, rate, review. That's what you can do. Our Black Friday sale's free. All you got to do is get your phone, get your friend's phone, family's phone around the table. Head over to where you get your podcast and download, subscribe, rate, review to the Hodge Pack podcast. You can go back and listen to previous shows and anything you miss on today's show, you can get that as well. It is time again. College football season is here. There's so much going on. There's a lot going on in Abilene, Hardin-Simmons, ACU tomorrow. But basically what we have seen and what we have said and what we've anticipated all year long was that this season, they said the most anticipated season of college football history, and I think it's living up to it. Evan, you said every week matters, and used to it mattered because if you lost one game, you were done. If you'd have lost that Clemson-Georgia game, if you'd have lost the Ohio State would have lost to Oregon, they'd have had a lot of things that had to happen to get back in. And even we saw with Alabama when they lost 2, they'd have been done. Of course, they lost 3, but it's now anticipated because you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me watching the FedEx Cup playoffs on NBC, and every time somebody makes a bogey, it's like they've gone from from 65 outside the top 70, and each hole they're moving and rearranging where everybody's at, and that's basically what this college football season has been.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the rankings, and under last year's rules, you've got 6 teams in the hunt. Instead, this year we have 25, and just makes everything more relevant. It's a lot of excitement. Your team's not out of it. It's a lot of fun.
Back to your FedEx Cup analogy here. I mean, even last weekend, you had a big weekend for Joel Damon. So, down to the last minute to get a tour card. So, you got some teams that are fighting for a playoff spot. And there's the SEC, Big Ten are obviously going to dominate most of this field. Curious how that shakes out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, again, so a lot's going on. Let's look at, excuse me, last weekend was big. We'll get to we'll preview this weekend, because one of the things I was going to throw out to you guys, and I'll let you start thinking about it. This weekend, the big rivalry is reunited re-engage. The Texas A&M Texas game, which you can hear on 106.9 The Country Giant tomorrow, 6:30 kickoff. But last weekend, Alabama was very much in it. And then they go to Norman, in which we'll talk about that. There's a lot of teams this weekend that are traveling road games that hopefully will toss up even more dominoes to fall. But last weekend was huge with Ole Miss losing, Alabama losing to Oklahoma. It's kind of what we want when you come from a sports radio side. The chaos is real.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I hate is that Texas A&M lost. That takes a little luster off that game. And, I still think if you look at the game and the rivalry, it's amazing what happened. But at the same time, that losing to Auburn really hurt some of the luster on that game, in my opinion.
Well, and it did. It hurt the fact that but again, because the way it's set up, it still has something to play for because the winner goes to the SEC championship. And if Texas were to lose, are they now still in the top 12? If they lose Saturday, I think it's almost like you really can't leave them out because that'll be only their second loss, correct? They've lost to Georgia and would be A&M. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, I think that is big. We'll hold that thought. Last weekend, I thought we saw some things that opened up our eyes on the whole grand scheme of things. We'll start at 11 o'clock last week. Ohio State and Indiana. Indiana loses 38-15, and if you look at that score, it looks like they got killed. But I'm going to tell you why I don't think they got killed. I think it's just like in baseball. You guys play baseball. Josh plays baseball. We've all watched it. We've seen the second baseman boot a play that should have been a routine out at first, and the next thing you know, second has an out, pitcher walks another one, left field drops a pop fly, the catcher forgets that you have to throw it to first on a swing strike 3 ball miss, and next thing you know, it's a 6-run inning. When the punter misses the ball, instead of punting it away, because really in the first half, it still was a competitive game, and then it opened up. When that happened, that was that era, and it just started kind of hurting. And so Indiana kind of may benefit from that loss as long as nothing else crazy happens this weekend. They take care of Purdue because then they should probably still be in the top 12. Or do you think last week, I'll go with you, Colin, do you think them losing the way they did, they should be out, or should they stay in the top 12?
No, I'm in your camp there. Things just unraveled there in the first half for them. I thought we had a pretty good game in the first half, and the next thing you know, they just got out of hand and hit that first domino fell, and it was over.
And I think Singetti, I like him. Google me. Don't Google me. You won't find much about me. But I like his swag. It's a different swag. It's similar to Deion's, but it's different. But that was a big loss last week. So do you keep Indiana in?
I think you have to keep them in. And I will say, you've seen my text on the group messages. I'm kind of in Josh's camp that I don't necessarily think that they're as good as what the record shows. However, I will say the way that I thought about Tech with Mike Leach, he was kind of different and he thought differently. I think Signetti is the same type of guy in Indiana. He brought some energy that they needed in that program because they've not been good ever.
Right, there we go. There's our first shoppers. All right, not normal mall walkers. We appreciate the shopping. People shopping. We appreciate everybody shopping here at the Mall of Abilene. Get down here, take advantage of the Black Friday deals. We mentioned just going through last week's games. Oklahoma, Alabama. Oklahoma, talking about Venables, kind of that seat might have been warm. Is it fair or does it just come with the territory? DeBoer just, hey, now you've got 3 losses, need a lot of help. You're outside looking in, cheering for different people. But Venables, I think, had maybe a little bit of a seat warmer. Big win, can kind of finish out. What's your thoughts on kind of where Alabama is right now?
Defensively, it's tough. But, taking that job for the board, that's a hard shoes to fill there.
To me, I think this year's not important. It's kind of like Deion's. Last year's not great year wasn't as important as this year. This year for DeBoer is not as important as next year because you can come in this year and, hey, you know what? First year, Saban's shadow's still there. His name's on the field. Every time College game day's there, he's here. Sometimes I see him in the office wondering if he's going to kind of take my job, whatever you want to look. This year is not as important as next year is for DeBoer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that. But at the same time, I don't know that Bama fans are going to ever
Be that
just
patient?
truly, yeah, they're just, they have unrealistic expectations because of the fact that they've had so much success over the last 15 years.
Well, and again, huge there. Then you start looking down a team that I wanted to see in, even though I think Jackson Dart moves about like I do sometimes. He is not very mobile, but he still is a great quarterback. Had a Heisman when Cam Ward and them started falling off. Opportunity maybe get invited to New York. Maybe he still does. But their loss to Florida last week sure demised Visor Boy.
I was shocked by that a little bit. I mean, I do think Florida has played better the last few weeks. They got DJ Lagway, who's a stud freshman quarterback. But at the end of the day, I was really shocked that they laid an egg against them.
DJ Lagway, shout out, Willis, Texas, north of Woodlands.
There you go. Well, there you go. Florida, again, another guy that you want to talk about a coach that was on his way out. Billy Napier was, people were sending him U-Haul boxes and getting him out of Dodge. Looks like he's going to get to save his job. SMU, big win last week. And then the guy that's just tearing it up, the team is Arizona State, maybe one of the most dangerous teams in the country right now. Looks like they'll have a chance to play for the Big 12 championship unless something crazy happens this week. But the game that everybody hated that happened, whether you like it or not, don't know where you fall. The networks absolutely hated the Kansas-Colorado game because more than likely Dion is out, Colorado is out, and not going to be in the playoff.
Yeah, I was really shocked by that. I mean, Kansas is good, better than their record showed. They have Daniels, who's a great quarterback, Neal, who's a good running back, but at the same time, I was shocked that they just fell flat on their face against Kansas.
Yeah, it's maybe our first look at Shadur in an NFL stadium.
True, at Arrowhead, and it didn't go well. But you look at Kansas. Kansas is the team that you wish you got in based on the recency bias. Their last 3 games have been over Iowa State, at BYU, and beating Colorado. And if they beat Baylor tomorrow, that'd be a great 4-game streak to end the season on. But Colorado's out, so it looks like. But you mentioned, Evan, like everybody in the Big 12 has a chance except for like a few teams this weekend. Now, you need a lot of things to happen, a lot of miracles for Colorado to get back in. Iowa State, Kansas State. Tech doesn't have any chance, do they?
They technically do, but it's like, Dumb and Dumber. You're telling me there's a chance. It's that kind of chance.
So not a big chance. A lot's going on. And so that was all last week. Of course, Texas and Texas getting in. Texas beating Kentucky last week pretty easily, so they move on. But this weekend, I'll throw this out. We got a little bit of time. Texas A&M coming back again. It'll be on 106.9. First time since, I believe, 2011.
That's right.
Trivia. Who kicked the game-winning field goal?
Justin Tucker.
Yeah, Justin Tucker. First ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, unless he keeps missing field goals this year. He's like a guy that should stop playing. But when I started thinking about rivalries that could be good again and be brought back, it made me think, is there one that you wish was good again? We're bringing A&M and Texas back. Is there a college football rivalry that you wish, even though it would take your Texas Tech out of it, but that wish it would be good again? I have one that popped into my head. If y'all have one.
I love Ohio State and Michigan, and that's been a good rivalry the last few years. This year's game is, if Ohio State didn't blow them out, I'll be shocked. But that game to me was always like one you circled, you watched. It's always at 11 a.m. Looked cold like snow or very brisk wind in that game. So that was always fun to watch.
I would say the 3 Florida teams. I mean, they're all struggling.
Yeah.
Besides Miami, obviously, this year. But
yeah, I think the two. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, those are the ones I was thinking is mine. I just remember Bobby Bowden never could beat Miami. He always missed wide right. There was always a field goal that was missed wide right. So Florida State, Miami, I wish was a game that was kind of big again. The other one for me, I think, is, and I don't know if it's because of nostalgia of Tom Osborne and all that, but Nebraska, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Tommy Frazier, Eric Crouch, those guys. I mean, I remember those, matchups against them. It was fun to see that back in the day.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun one. Tomorrow, one that's big that will affect some of the other playoff seedings is, USC Notre Dame. The Reggie Bush push in of, now is known as the brotherly shove that is legal on all fronts now. That used to, you couldn't help your teammate go forward. But the USC Notre Dame game used to be a big rivalry game. But that's one when I started thinking about this one being reunited. The other thing, speaking of Texas, speaking of he was reunited with this team. Thoughts on Mac Brown and how North Carolina's handling Mac Brown on being fired this past week?
It was inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was inevitable, but man,
I thought it was pretty crappy handling.
He came back and
made them relevant again.
I mean, Sam Howell and Drake May, he had some good runs with both of those guys. Not good enough to win an ACC championship or anything, but I thought he did pretty good.
People started tuning into North Carolina football for the first time since when? Because of Mac Brown. Mac Brown has won 100 games with both teams, and was at the time only the third active national champion coach. The other two now, there's only two. It's Dabo and Kirby Smart. I just thought, and then I just don't understand. I know we got to go to break. I'm not a big fan of, hey, we'll let you coach against NC State, and we'll think about the bowl game. If you know you're going to do that in college, where they're at right now, you've got a guy, whether you call him a father figure, and some of them may look at Mac as a grandfather figure, and he's coached, he's recruited you, he's done all these things. Rough outing, yes, this year. It's 2 games. NC State's big, find a way to win it, maybe last one. And then when it comes to your bowl game, crap, you don't know how many people are actually going to play in it, which is a whole nother conversation on when we find out who's 13 through the rest. What do the bowl games look like now going into the year with the people? Dion said Shadur and Travis are going to play in the bowl. We'll see on that. But Mac Brown, I know you're Texas guys. What he did at UT, still one of the greatest football games I've ever seen. Them against USC, winning the national championship. He's a terrible option call away from maybe winning another one with Colt if you don't run the option play where Colt hits his shoulder. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, Mac Brown to me is one of the best that was in the business.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, just from he was a coach and he got along with his boosters until the end at UT. I mean, at the end of the day, he was a phenomenal coach for them and kind of put them back on the map in the 2000s. And, Vince Young, those guys that played on that 05 team that won over USC, it was a great game.
It's also incredible, the AD released a statement on, moving on from Mac, and essentially congratulates all the accomplishments that he's done when he came back to North Carolina. I'm like,
let him finish the year.
It's kind of weird.
I mean, I'm not saying and again, we're going to go to break. I'm not saying it's the exact same, but everybody knew that Robert Kraft was about to part ways with Belichick. They knew last year was going to be the last year of Belichick. They knew. I mean, Belichick didn't like it. Belichick felt like he still had something in him to coach, but Kraft was ready to move on. The same thing with Mac Brown. Okay, you're ready to move on. It's 2 games that you sell tickets, do whatever, get through. And say, hey, Mac, we're going to let you retire. We're going to let you make it your call so it doesn't look like we made it. It's just a bad situation. Again, college football, big games this weekend. We'll talk about those more when we get in the picks. When we come back, a lot of football yesterday. The Cowboys are on a roll, and Jerry thinks Rush is just the greatest. We'll be back right after this. There we go. Break. Yeah, if you want your burritos, we'll wait. There's a former.
Oh, I saw him. He had his walk going on. You ever come on Monday through Thursday just to see?
I just consider everybody else watching Friday and listening to us and walking. And we're going to talk about how you're 100% wrong on Lane Wilson.
Oh, man, she's terrible.
Laney Wilson could read me a bedtime story any day of the week. And she sang a song, that'd be fine too.
His biggest complaint is it's a fake accent. I'm like,
It's not like I don't like that you're comparing her to Brian Kelly when he came on to
Yeah.
My Family.
yeah.
They're not even the same.
I mean, she rapped Jelly Roll. I mean, come on.
Well, now, that was her best thing that she did.
Oh, she's got a heart like a truck, Evan.
I don't think that's what you like about her.
She's got a heart like a truck. She gives back.
The heart may be the second thing or third that Hodge likes.
She got a heart like a truck. Been rolling through the mud.
So I have notes on everyone but one. And I just don't know which one I'm going to pick yet.
I'm Baylor in Kansas.
Yeah.
That's the last segment for the games, right?
Yeah. We've had to move them around because Josh has a meeting that starts like at 8:35, 8:40. So we've had to move those around.
Gotcha.
Now that I think about it, it kind of makes me want to.
Shabuzi was better than Laney Wilson. Oh,
That's a negative go, guys.
that is
I don't have,
that is
I don't
very
have
true.
anything against Shabuzi. In fact, that's Peyton's favorite song, Tipsy. No, I don't think we should.
Yeah, that'll prove my point.
Pull by you.
I don't think we're gonna run out of time. And that's not the only time. That is owner, general manager Jerry Jones excited about victory, back-to-back victories, and the first victory in AT&T Stadium since last year, literally. Jerry Jones talking to, as he does each and every week, finds the media finds him, and we find you here. Listen to the Hodge Pack on 106.9, the Country Giant, this Friday morning. Hope everybody's had a great Thanksgiving. And we have the Harris brothers, Evan and Colin, joining Hodge this morning. We talked college football. Now it's the NFL. As I mentioned in the rundown or at the beginning of the show, we have 2 wins since we've had a show last. The Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders, who apparently every time I open Twitter, somebody says they're still trying to become the Redskins again. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm not real sure. But let's start, before we take Thanksgiving away, big win at Washington, bigger than the one yesterday.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, especially the way it happened. I mean, it looked like a couple of times that there was no way they were going to end up winning that game, and then they let them back in the game on a Terry McLaurin long touchdown pass, and then found a way to win. Kevontae Turpin, man, that dude's amazing.
I think he solidified himself to stay in Dallas. I hope he doesn't become the flash in the pants. We don't do anything with, and he leaves. A lot of those guys, like Cedric Wilson, some of those they leave and don't do as good. But to me, Turpin is proving himself not only as the returner, but also a very valuable weapon as an offensive guy, especially when you have Ferguson out, or even if you don't have Ferguson out, he's a legit lethal weapon.
He's dynamic, but back to last Sunday, I mean, they were 10.5-point dogs. I mean, should have put the money line on that. You know, it was a big time win in Washington D.C. and obviously it's propelled them. And you got Micah Parsons now talking playoffs. You know, here we go. So
well, and so now let's fast forward to today or last night. The NFL is kind of wild. I mean, we talk about how crazy and hectic the college football scene is. It's pretty wild and wide open, I think. We look at the Chiefs, but the Chiefs aren't really just dominating. It is pretty wide open. So when Micah says playoffs, can you get on a run? And I don't know if it was you that sent it or Josh that sent it. The graphic is in the hunt. Dallas is now at least on the graphic. And so I know it may sound far-fetched, but Cooper did look terrible. He did have one fumble to himself, which is Josh's favorite stat. But I don't think where should we think as Cowboy fans of where we're at?
I mean, I still think
Expectation, reality, where should those
we
be?
still need to be realistic. I mean, the hard part is at some point you'll play the Eagles again. You will bring the Commanders to Dallas, which we don't play good at home, or at least not this year. And at the end of the day, I still think you've got to be somewhat realistic. Of course, you know, I always laugh at the tanking comments, but the Cowboys can't tank well, obviously, because we can't go get a draft pick. But at the same time, we're in the mix and we're in the hunt, but we're really just not that good.
Well, and that's what I said last week. Everybody's like, well, they need a tank. They need a tank. They can play hard as they want, and they proved me wrong. I said I compared them to lifting weights when I was a skinny little weak kid. Now I'm just a fat weak kid. But when they were trying, there was no trying to tank. They I don't think you could question their effort, but they just, like you said, Evan, they weren't good enough to beat those teams. And somehow, I don't know, does what the Cowboys did to the Commanders say more about the Commanders or the Cowboys?
maybe the Commanders. I mean, offensively, everyone's talking about it. Cliff Kingsbury, the last 10 games of the year, he's got history now at this point. Offensively, his offenses get worse and worse.
Well, it's almost like he becomes Tua. In cold weather, it goes the other way.
And I'd also say Dan Quinn is going to be a good coach for the Commanders. But at the same time, that defense was so bad before he got there that just adding Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong from the Cowboys and a couple other guys, that doesn't really help them either. And they really need time to be able to build a squad there too.
But he's also been the guy that is kind of like the read option run quarterback. I'm not saying he's RG3, but where he's so good. He has a great rookie year, but then he kind of fades away. He even did that in Dallas as the defensive coordinator. And I don't know if that was hey, we're really good, I'm awesome. And then last year against the Packers toward the end, I don't know if that was because my focus was going to Washington. My focus was going to another place. But his defense got worse as the year went on. And to this day, I still say the comment is he cannot wear his hat backwards until he wins again. Because his backward hat on the sideline looks stupid.
That's fair.
That should be what should happen. So in that, now let's go to yesterday. Cooper Rush, and I said a couple weeks ago when we, again, was in the stadium when they played the Texans. The first half against the Texans wasn't bad. The defense made a few stops. And I said the defense can't play okay because the offense isn't good enough to make up for their okay. But when they play like they have the last 2 weeks, and Overshone has become the guy that there's another guy that you're either going to have to figure out how to pay or just hope his rookie contract and then everything works out. But the defense, if they can get that every week and Cooper can play in a way that is not giving it to the other team, and Donald's become a viable running back. I still can't believe yesterday was the first 20-yard run. Yesterday, he got his first touchdown and over 100 yards rushing. I'm not trying to fall into the Kool-Aid with Micah, but you can have a pretty good end of the season for some positivity, if you will, as Jerry likes to say, it's fake Jerry, positivity. Because yesterday was, and I know the Giants are terrible. I know the Giants aren't very good. And Drew Lock should have just been a running back because his best plays were when he was running. But the defense played well enough. If you can get just a little bit out of the offense, there's a lot more games left on the schedule to win than I thought there were going to be.
You literally just need Cooper Rush to be a game manager, take care of the ball, be serviceable. Get the ball to all the, Dowdle, Lamb, Tolbert, Cooks. Ferguson when he comes back. There's weapons there. But obviously you can't get to the team. And Cooper Rush, before the Commanders game and before yesterday, I was ready to see Trey Lance. So.
Yeah, I think the Dowdle deal may be the best thing that we figured out in this season. Just because going into the year and seeing our first 6 weeks of the year of trying to run Zeke more than we should ever even think about doing.
Well, that should have never been a signing.
It just never should have happened. That's Jerry, but anyway.
All right, so let's talk about yesterday's games. Tua, I thought, was on a roll, went to a cold place, didn't work out. How good are the Packers?
Man, I think they're good. At the end of the day, I think that overall, with Josh Jacobs coming in, if he can stay healthy, and that's always been his thing, is he gets hurt at most inopportune times. But if he can stay healthy, they actually have a squad that I think can play.
To me, I think Josh Jacobs, and rightfully so, the attention's been toward Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. But what Josh Jacobs is doing with his second team, I think is huge too. I think they're good. I don't think they're as good as Detroit, because Detroit with Montgomery and Gibbs are freaking loaded. But I think the Packers are a very dangerous team.
I think they are very good. Obviously, Jacobs can do it all right. He can run. He can catch the ball in the backfield. But also, talk about Jordan Love. When he got drafted by the Packers, I'm thinking they're crazy. And I haven't eaten my words at this point because he's looked pretty good the last couple years he's played.
And they've done it right. They drafted somebody to be after their stud. That's what they did with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. And they've done this with Jordan Love. And in probably 2 to 3 years, they're going to draft Love. They're going to draft your replacement. Just know that that's coming if that's the way it's going. And Matt LaFleur is another guy that you start looking. Everybody looks at Sean McVay, and rightfully so. But what they've done with what Matt LaFleur has done, his credibility, his props of being a head coach, probably doesn't get enough. But what he's done since Rodgers and with Love should be getting a lot more attention. I'm not saying he's going to be coach of the year, but it's done a lot of good stuff.
No, he should get more. Think about when Jordan Love was out for a couple games early in the year, and Malik Willis,
and they found a way to win games and get through it.
The guy wins. He's like Kurt Signetti.
Right.
He wins.
Right. Then the other thing is, yes, lots of talk. Cowboys win yesterday. Packers win last night. But the talk all day has been how bad Eberflus handled the end. I hope you weren't asleep then. I fell asleep at the beginning of that game, caught that. Caleb Williams, Matty Eberflus, if he is not fired by the time we finish the show, I'll be shocked. 30-something seconds left to go, one timeout, a chance to beat the best team in the NFL, in my opinion, right now. A chance to ruin their Thanksgiving, a chance to extend your contract, extend your job a little longer, maybe extend it into next year. And with 32 seconds, you get to take what home to Thanksgiving? One timeout and another loss. Unbelievable. And everybody, Coach Archibald from, I believe he's out at Wink, said, hey, Coach, feel free to come to practice tomorrow, or any of the Texas high school football teams that are still in the high school playoffs. We'll show you how to manage the clock. Terrible.
Unreal. And, the first half, the Lions, other than the fumble at the goal line at the end of that half, the Lions dominated that. And then the second half, the Bears looked like they had all the momentum, especially there towards the end. And then for them to just let the clock tick for 32 seconds and act like there was no sense of urgency.
Well, and here's my deal. I don't have a problem, and I respect, yes, kids, everybody, you should do what your coaches tell you to do, be coach of all those things. But when you've got Heisman Trophy winner, number one rookie. You should know internally as that starting quarterback. If nobody's going to do it, I'm going to call timeout and then you can chew my butt out afterwards. I'll call the timeout. But instead, he's doing this and hurry, and they don't even get one more. They don't even get the only play they get off is the bomb that doesn't even have a chance. The only thing that benefits you, because even if he catches it where it's at, it's nothing. The only thing that you get out of that, you better hope and pray there's a pass interference, because even if not, the ball game's over anyway.
So I saw a soundbite. I didn't listen to it. Kids were asleep last night, but apparently Caleb Williams changed the play on that last play. And I don't know how exactly that changes the dynamics of that into the game, but obviously Eberflus, and I mean, this has been something throughout the season. I mean, they just found ways to lose, and it's laughable at this point.
But and they said all year long, either fire Matt now and give the rookie a new quarterback at the beginning of the year, or sign an extension, because these people, and it's almost the same with Mike McCarthy. If you're going to keep them and let them know it. But if you're going to be this lame duck coach, Matt Eberflus basically is, and now his duck's about to be like duck hunt and shot, and that little dog's going to pop up and say, "What were you thinking?" That's not what he said on Nintendo, but that's what he should have said. We'll do Take It or Trash It in the second hour. When we come back, we're going to Misty's Bag, brought to you by Mulligan.
Old Eberflus.
Yeah, I need to go find the.
Yeah, he's with the Cowboys as the linebacker coach before he went to the Colts. And everybody was like, "Oh, he's going to end up being the DC in Dallas," but he ended up going to the Colts because.
Here we go.
Yeah, I ended up changing the play because the play we had 13 seconds. Any play you have in 13 seconds with no timeout, good, get a timeout. But with that situation, 13 seconds they call and try and get a snap and take a shot.
Yeah, and I saw something else. I said it in the group.
And Eberflus, he doubled down on how they handled it, by the way, to me, I guess. I don't know if it's good or bad, but.
Yeah, you probably want to support your players.
I think we handled it the right way.
That's what he said.
Yeah. He's like, no.
Well, I saw him throw it, and all of a sudden I hear Nant say, "And that's the ball game." And I looked down the clock, and it was 0 seconds.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. I was watching it. And the other thing is the red line for. I got time. The red line where it said target area for
Field goal?
was not very far.
No, he did a 5-yard pass.
But I think, the part of the problem, though, whenever they ran the play before, it took them so long to get back because of all those guys. You can't run plays like that.
Everyone in my family uses electricity differently. But when it comes to our Touchstone Energy Cooperative, we all think about it the same way. The co-op is power. Sure, electricity turns the lights on, but power is the information I get from my co-op about efficiency, safety, technology, and I trust the co-op because we are the co-op.
So, did the Raiders give up on Antonio Pierce and not play for him anymore after he called them the worst team in the NFL? Or did they play hard more?
I think they're going to get spanked today. We won't be able to watch it because I'm sure Netflix will screw up.
Is today the one that's on Netflix?
Well, it was Christmas today. Is that Netflix?
I thought it was.
Today was Prime.
Maybe you're
I
right.
think today's Prime.
Okay, today's Prime. It's
It's Black Friday. It's Prime.
Okay.
Christmas, that's Netflix.
Okay. Well, they'll screw that up too. Did Do you like the prime? Is it kind of gimmicky? I mean, I think that's what they're going for, but
No, I mean, I think it's just Al Michaels and
no, not the rock. I'm not. It's the set guys like Sherman and big lineman Andrew Whitworth.
What else are you gonna do though? I mean,
I know.
all of them are copying. All of them are copying. All of them are copying. Oh, all of them are.
What's up, Sam?
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good to see you. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between, right here on 106.9. The Country Giant. We got some Wildcats coming in. Wildcats getting ready to play tomorrow for a playoff game, which is, again, check out, there's a lot of high school teams still playing. There'll be some games at Shotwell today, Hugh Sanford, Mustang Bowl, a lot of games you can go watch. But be sure you check out tomorrow, ACU 2 o'clock playoff game. So be sure you check that out. Again, Hodge is not by himself, but Misty and Josh are out. Got the Harris brothers, not Manning brothers, but close enough. But I knew we could not pass up still doing the best segment that we have, even with Misty gone. All right, Misty's Bag brought to you by Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Be sure you check them out. Curious, they opened yesterday at 3 o'clock. I wonder how many people went because my theory was it's smart on Kyle's part. Again, so are. But to open at 3 because, 1, Cowboys started. 2, there's some people that maybe their families aren't here, needed a place to go. 3, maybe their families are here and still needed a place to go. All the things why you could have gone to Mulligan's, but be sure you check them out. If you're looking for a Christmas party place, they're probably booked, but maybe you can open it up. They've got a patio, heated, cool, all the things. Again, Mulligan's Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf sponsoring Misty's Bag. And so I thought about this one, and I hope I word it correctly. If not, we're up against the clock, so I can bounce away anyway. So if you could, and I know you love working at the Red One, I know you love doing, what are you doing, Colin?
I'm an engineer for oil and gas company.
There you go. I know you love watching Landman and Billy Bob Thornton and all that stuff. No, hey, how realistic is that?
Not really.
Not at all. Not at all. You mean you don't just, I'm sure there's a lot of divorced roughnecks out there that were once married to the person from Varsity Blues. You don't think that's real?
Maybe, but a lot of those things that happen on a location, not real.
Not real. Okay, there you go. Sorry, Taylor Sheridan. But anyway, don't come after us. If you could go back, because I know nobody wants to change anything, but if you could go back, what major or career would you want to be in, even if the career path, the schooling and all that would be hard? What would you go back, if you could grow up and go back to college, what would be the profession?
I would have been a CPA.
Oh, wow.
Truthfully, I would have wanted to be either a statistician for the Rangers or on the GM side. So that's where I would be.
Okay, and I know you wouldn't change. You'd still go to tech. I'm sure there's a CPA accounting school there, a business, school at tech. So I'm not gonna lie, Colin, I'm a little disappointed. So
Well, you said you go to school. I mean, otherwise I would have been,
anything, you could have been anything, but you still had to go to school for, not just, World's Strongest Man. I just lifted and got to be on ESPN and pulling trucks.
I could have been a CPA for a bunch of athletes. You never know. But no, realistically, back in playing days, I would have said I wanted to go be a offensive coordinator or go be a coach somewhere. But
Okay.
it's not about very good work.
Well, you don't want to be sponsored by U-Haul and having to move all the time and not make very much money. So Evan, back to yours. Statistician. I guess I don't know what the school would be or the class.
Well, I mean, the hardest part was trying to get in the door when you were doing that kind of stuff, because I remember back, I wanted to do that, and you started looking at sports management and some of these other avenues. And, from my perspective, I didn't really know if I wanted to be like a GA, like on, from a football perspective. Or
Duncan Bacon right now is a grad assistant at Tech. and getting to do all the fun stuff that the team's doing. Went to New York this past week. So I could see that part of it. But then again, that's what I meant, honestly, by the grind that it takes to get to that elite level of being the Lincoln Riley or the Sean McVay that's, still probably gets carded when he goes to buy a beverage or anything. Sir, how old are you? But you've seen these young guys. I mean, the guy that's the head coach at Arizona State's 34 years old.
Yeah, no, and I mean, we have a good friend. His name's Landon Hofer, who's an Abilene Cooper guy that went to Tech, walked on during the Leach days, and now he's at Miami, and he's still trying to figure out what he wants. He's trying to make his way and pave his way, and so I hope he gets a break at some point. But he's one of those ones. It's a grind.
Right, and I that's my whole. That was what brought it up. Is you see these people that do the grind, that go through, and of course, mine is a couple. We're going to do station identification, and we're going to finish this Misty's bag up.
Action KLTV Stanford, Emily, 106.9 FM. Your home for real country music. Country Giant Radio.
Country Giant Radio, you can. Don't forget Red Dirt Proud this weekend, along with Greg Austin, bringing great music as well. So I started thinking about that. One, I think if you look back on what you could be, I always thought, one, I knew I wasn't like these guys behind us that definitely are college athletes. I mean, I know my body looks like it could have been an intramural athlete, but and it was. But going that coaching route, doing the pop in, be the grad assistant, be the student assistant, fold the laundry, fold the dish, break down film, and then go that route. Could have done that for the coaching route. I'm not saying I'd have been the next fill in the blank, but could have been. But looking back and doing what I'm doing now, wish I would have gone. I'd go back and go through the grind of, you see at ACU that has a great TV production team and school and class and program, but going that route, because doing this on Friday mornings is a lot of fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun being on. I would be the guy on the left that didn't play, that has all the players to their right or left. That's what going back, I think that'd have been fun, because I think all those people would have had some type of grind. Laura Rutledge, one of the things that she called was a paintball championship, but now you go through the grind to get to that. So I think that would have been mine, or from your route and combination, being a sports agent might have been interesting.
Yeah, I always thought that would be, and then because you watch Jerry Maguire and you're like, oh, I could be Jerry
yeah,
Maguire.
no doubt. I could walk in with a goldfish and say, "Who's with me?"
But then I will say that's a tough business too.
Oh,
So,
I think but again, I think that it would come with the reward of the grind because it takes a couple of the right guys to sign or girls to sign. And now, when are we going to see agents? I guess we do. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it in the next segment because it may be awkward. But how long before the agents are going to have to be at the college level working the NIL stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're right. You're hitting the nail on the head there. The other part on agents, though, like it'd be hard to have a family, and do that.
Oh,
business.
your family would be added. I mean, you would have them. I mean, we had Kelly Masters on, one of the first guests we ever had on the show, and she represented Gerald McCoy, was the first female agent to have a top 10 draft pick, and that was Gerald McCoy. Now she has Trace Way and a few other people that she represents. But anyway, CPA / what was the other one? Been a coach.
Statistician, GM.
Statistician, GM, and be sure to watch Landman. It's realistic. When we come back, we'll be have our Big Country Electric Bytown segment. ACU conference champions are in the room. We'll be back. All right. Well, are you? Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I was 8th grade too.
How's it going, sir? Will Hodge. Tay, saw you at dinner, I think. Oh, remember that? I think it was you. Lonnie, how are you? At Blue. Good. It's Tay? Yes, sir. All right. Tay, Blaine, Will. All right, perfect. Coach, how are you? Good. Good. Thanks all for come back. Y'all just take over those two minds. We don't have a big station studio. If Evan or Colin have something to ask, they'll throw it out. All right, so we're gonna come here. I don't need that.
I just peeked that one right there.
All right.
Just a little bit over there, Tom.
I will tell you, this is these are the youngest people we've seen mall walking because they're doing Black Friday shopping. This is the most normally it's like older people. We got all those people with bags and Grant Gregg's dad shopping. Look at that. Grant Gregg.
That's how I was pulling up and there's people here. I was like, I seen people driving past me. I'm like,
And Jason Kinney hadn't had that many people in the parking lot since the 90s.
Yeah, it's packed. It's packed, man. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to. Now I realize I'm gonna go see what we got at Best Buy, up for a new computer, good stuff. Yeah, I think swinging.
Just wanna make it down.
Yeah, this will they'll be fine.
I am
All
picking.
right, we got.
I was seeing if y'all had my boys on there on the pigs. ASU's. That's
Oh, ASU?
From this weekend.
No, we didn't put them on there we did talk about them earlier.
Yeah.
But I will say,
I forgot they play against each other.
Tech beat them earlier in the
They
year.
did.
So.
They did beat them. And I was making fun of them. I was like, our game would have been close too.
Yeah, y'all see that game versus Tech was awesome.
Man.
Oh, you know who I'm rooting for.
In which game?
Because I went there. So.
Got us sweating on us for sure.
We was sweating.
Tay, how do you say your last name?
Yanta.
Our credit still up.
Let's change this.
And it's in Buffalo.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we almost thought about making y'all pickers, but I didn't know what that would be like, making college kids pickers. What am I looking for? Yeah.
Somehow.
They'll find
a way to make
Yeah.
it.
They make
They definitely
everything
can't talk
every
lines.
No.
So you know the spring. I've been looking at the Oprah. You like say that again?
Money line. It's like, yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
uh,
I need my family listen. What do you know about spring? I think it's gonna be this one. Yeah, too good. I gotta take this one for sure.
I don't think it was that cold this morning.
Nah,
We walked out and that's straight
I'm
to
from
the jacket.
Tempe, Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Scottsdale, 82nd Street. Right off the 101.
you're from Arizona?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Considered Tempe or Wisconsin.
It's like South Scottsdale, but if you go like 2-3 lights south, you're in Tempe. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any breakfast spot in that area or around there, yeah. You know they closed that Chompies over there. They closed that. That used to be the spot.
So Tay, you had some
It's
time
really
at
good.
Maryland, Baylor, and Tech.
Yes, sir.
So you got fellow folks coming in tomorrow to play Hardin Simmons.
Not as many as we think. A lot of them have left already. But yeah, I think there were a lot of them when they won the national championship while I was at Tech, and then they finished playing this last season. So there might be one or two on the team that I still know from UNHB, but not a lot.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. Sports Life and everything in between, brought to you by 106.9, brought to you by Big Country Electric Co-op, taking care of their members each and every day, even stormy times, great times, taking care of their members each and every day. Roby, Snyder, and Stanford, 3 offices. Appreciate Big Country Electric and being great supporters. They've been to the Hodge Pack from day one, and really one that's kind of come on board, and we've enjoyed the journey with the Hodge Pack. And Coach Keith Patterson is the AC Wildcats and the football team making history this year. It was fun. Tracy and I went to Stephenville a couple weeks ago to watch the game between ACU and Tarleton. great game. But joining us in studio, Coach Keith Patterson, along with Will Schaefer, Blaine Taylor, and Tay Yonta. Did I get it? Bam. Good thing, because I probably butchered it without writing it down. But appreciate y'all being here this morning. Y'all notice there's a lot of people here, Black Friday, and a lot of people walking. That girl just dropped her phone, but still, we're good to see people get out to the mall, do some shopping for your friends and family. Coach, appreciate you. We kind of made this a regular Friday for the last few weeks.
You bet. That means things are going well.
That means football's still happening. We're not doing a post-game conference or anything like that. And so we've talked about it before, year 3 and all that, but let's talk about now. And I know there was a game in between, the Tarleton game and Stephen F. Austin, a good team, a familiar opponent for ACU throughout the years, kind of like we look at high schools when Wiley plays Argyle, pretty much all the way across the table. Stephen F. Austin's kind of been that one, but the excitement, we haven't talked to you since Tarleton, but getting that conference championship.
Yeah, it's been a journey we've pointed toward for 3 years. Like you said, I just felt like it takes time to get 130 plus people to become like-minded. These young men have bought in. I don't like using the word culture because I just think that we've built a program that when things get difficult, the circumstances get difficult, we want to be able to win games, and we're able to do that this year.
Well, and again, we've had different players in, and fortunate enough to have some folks from both sides of the ball today. Will, we were talking some Arizona stuff a while ago, and Arizona's got a lot of things going on because Arizona State's hopping, but things in Abilene, Texas. So we'll tell our listeners a little bit about Will.
Man, just young kid, Tempe, Arizona, man. Went to Saguaro High School, born and raised in the Phoenix, Tempe area. Went to Arizona State 4 years, graduated. Went to Utah State in the spring, had a coaching change, and just found my way to Abilene. Got connected with Coach KP and Coach Dubin, and it's been a great relationship, man. It's always fun when you win and having the opportunity to get more playing time as well. So we just want to keep this train rolling.
And I want to keep it rolling. Going to get a chance to do that tomorrow too. So what have you enjoyed about Abilene? It's because believe it or not, people, it does get cold in Arizona. The only reason I know that is I'll never forget one year during the waste management, they were freezing cold there. So, but what have you enjoyed about Abilene, Texas, compared to Arizona?
So far, I mean, I like the small town feel, being able to drive 5 minutes either way, everything you need right here in the town. So I'll probably mostly say that people are super kind, just very generous, letting us know that they're rooting for us, making sure that they're going to be at the game as well. And I feel like the campus is really believing in us as well. So that's been very tremendous for our football team.
Yeah, and I think Blaine is not Blaine, but talking about rallying around. It's been kind of nice, people getting excited about ACU football, and I really think facilities matter. I mean, let's face it, you're seeing the destruction that happened at Crutcher Scott, but you've seen the renovations to Moody, obviously the new stadium, getting to play in some amazing facilities, and you get a chance to go watch tomorrow an amazing facility at 2 o'clock. Now, it gets cold in Saginaw, so Blaine Taylor joining us, also wide receiver, number 13. It's been a fun year, and you and Mav have kind of been on connection. But what have you enjoyed about Abilene in this season of being a part of getting fitted for later a conference championship ring, but hopefully maybe even more?
Well, hopefully more. But just being here, I mean, it's grateful to get an opportunity by the coaches, just giving me a chance to pass the years. They always looked at me and said, you do great things, and we've done great things, and we'll continue to do great things. But I haven't really nice. I mean, like he said, 5 minutes each direction, there's no traffic. I mean, say you go to Fort Worth, say, I gotta hit a train everywhere I go, and that's the best thing. I'll just be in Abilene.
Yeah, the good thing about the train here, you got underpass you can go under if you do find the train. But again, also join us. We were talking a little bit about Mary Hardin Baylor being in town. So we're Tay Yonta joining us. Tay, were you there with Baylor Mullins at Mary Hardin Baylor at any point, or was Baylor already graduated? Does that ring a bell?
I think Baylor graduated.
Yeah, so Baylor graduated. He was from Merkel, was on the first national championship team. So Tay, what's your thoughts about this season and kind of how it's been rolling? And again, you're kind of familiar with Texas, but what you love about Abilene?
I mean, this season's been great. I've seen the team grow ever since I came in 2 years ago in 2022, and just the difference that we've made so far, and kind of how we changed the culture. Because when we first got here, there was really kind of no faith in ACU football. Everybody was just kind of like, yeah, we got a football team, and then just watching that grow, seeing more and more people just stop by you in the grocery store, be like, hey, great game Saturday. Everybody's trying to talk to you. It's good to see little things like that happening. But I like the town of Abilene. It's not real big. It reminds me of back home a little bit because I came from a little small town in Falls City. It just makes everybody closer. It's not really anything crazy going on in Abilene. There's a lot of churches.
Yeah, a lot of churches. Feel free to find one on a Sunday morning, or if you need to, you can knock it out on Thursday at Butler on the north side. There's plenty of churches for sure. Blaine, let's talk about that. And again, I don't want to focus too much in the past because it really doesn't matter until tomorrow. But that the game that was at Tarleton, it was so exciting, back and forth, and then just finding within to kind of go get a big win and set history. And what does it mean to you being able to be a part of the history-making season that we're seeing at ACU football?
I mean, ever since I first got in 2 years ago, I mean, he's always talking about the 30 years, and Coach KP guys, we just like the 30 years when we gonna put everything together. Because the first year you never really know. Second year, we still building. But third year, like I got my brothers right next to me, they can tell you it's just always coming together and just looking for one another and just battling back and for adversity and everything. It's just a great time.
Yeah, it is fun. Again, we've enjoyed being a part of it here on the Hodge Pack, having coach in and different players in. But Will, you're getting to tomorrow. What will the next 24 hours be like? How, last week you could lose to Stephen F. Austin and you just get ready for the next week. How do you get ready for tomorrow, the atmosphere of a home playoff game? And again, not making it about the playoff game, but just the task at hand.
I mean, I feel like as a team, we understand what needs to be done. Can't talk about it too much. Just the work has to be done. So I feel like right now everybody got their head on straight. You got just continuous preparation because you preparing all the way through that first kick. So I mean, and this is an exciting game for me. I got a lot of friends at Northern Arizona, a lot of buddies I either played in high school with, played against, or just know them from the area. So this one's definitely a little special. So But we can't do anything too much out of our bodies. Just do what we've been doing throughout the week, preparing, seeing our tips and keys and reminders, and just at the end of the day, just execute and play ball.
So Tay, you've been part of a line that has played a lot together. And Andy Penny and I got to do the Southern Utah game and talk about how over 100 games that of experience on that offensive line and knowing the statistics. Yes, there's Maverick and Blaine and Sam and all that, but the success that you guys are able to create, the pocket, the hole, the time to throw, what's that been like for you, and how will transition in tomorrow against Northern Arizona?
Our first year, it was kind of, we were playing together and we started to get to know each other, and we noticed we're pretty good together. We really didn't get a lot of recognition or anything, but we knew that we were good, and that's just all we kept talking to each other is that we want to be the best O-line, and that's all we preach. Our coach, Pugh, he always tells us you have to build your own, I guess not culture, but something that everybody looks at your team and they're just like, this is what they are, and they're able to put it there, and it puts like kind of a fear into their D-line, like you're going to have to work this week if you want to do something. So it kind of put that attitude towards the O-line to where we wanted people to fear us, and we wanted to let people know that we're going to come and there's nothing you can bring that's going to stop us. So just us growing throughout the years, especially this year with Thielen and Allen being their sixth year and then my fifth, it's a lot of smart football. We can see different things. We're able to look up into the second level of safeties and everything and see what defense is coming, bringing at us. And we kind of pulled our tackles along with us because we got two newer guys, but not too new, but kind of bringing them with us and everything. It's just more of an accountability thing.
And I would think the unit of an offensive line, and they always talk about the receiving core and skill players, and y'all are loaded. I mean, y'all got great skill athletes that you don't know who's going to be scoring the touchdowns or how's the game each week. But having that unit, as an offensive line, knowing, hey, this is no vacation for the guy in front of you. Hey, you better bring your lunch pail. You better be ready. So that's got to be a pretty cool unit of knowing that we are as much part of that success of the points that are going on the board.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, of course the O-line doesn't get recognition like the running backs and receivers and the quarterback, but I mean, we got a good relationship with Mav and everything. So when you know you got a guy like that, you just give him a good clean pocket, and then we got receivers like Blaine, Trey, Nehemiah. You know he's gonna spin the ball and they're gonna catch the rock and we're gonna score. But yeah, just like O-line mentality, we just want to make them tap out. That's our thing. And we want to find people's breaking points, and that's really what we try to do during the game.
I'm glad I'm a spectator, not a defensive lineman. So, we got some people watching. We got Eviane, did I get it right? McCray, Taylor, soon for you. And then I got Ravel. So let's go Cardiac Cat. So appreciate it. Hey, download, subscribe, rate, review on the podcast. Get your phone out. Make sure we do that. So, Will, what are you excited? We're going to swing it. We'll finish it out. But what are you most excited about tomorrow? As at 2 o'clock, and of course, y'all stuff will start way before 2 tomorrow. Excited about tomorrow's game.
Mostly just the opportunity to play another home game, Wildcat Stadium, that we can't take that for granted. Got to use that to our advantage, where we're familiar at, and just play 60 minutes and then some of just good, clean, disciplined football. Coach KP always preaches to us, the game is just about the ball as well as just executing. And when you can do that, protect the ball, play with minimum, maybe 1 to 2 penalties, and no pre-snap penalties, no dumb penalties. So that could definitely be another key for us to getting a W. So, I mean, I'm excited, man. Get a great night's sleep tonight, wake up, get a good breakfast, and at that time, it's just go time. So we looking to have a good plan together, and this is going to be good.
All right, Blaine, we'll go to you. So what is Friday night, and what is your breakfast food of choice? Misty always asks this, and she's not here, so I asked her a question. She always asks, what's the routine? So what's your routine tonight and then tomorrow before kickoff? What does 13 get ready? What does 13 do to get ready for football?
Tonight is just relax, take your mind off of it, and just be with the guys. Like once you get around teammates, just start talking, and kind of get your mind off of it. But you also zone back in at the same time. And then tonight is just all getting the mind prepared, getting the body prepared, and just going all in. And wake up on Saturday, get a nice little breakfast going. Little waffles, eggs, bacon, depending on where you're at, what they give us. But you can never go wrong with this.
All right, Tay, what about you? What does tomorrow look like? And then we'll end it with Coach KP.
I like to start off my morning with a nice warm shower. I wake up pretty early, depending on what time breakfast is. It always fluctuates depending on the time of the game. But yeah, I'll start off with a shower, get back in bed, lay down a little bit, watch some TV, look at my phone. Breakfast is really nothing special. I really don't touch eggs that much on game day. I eat some bacon. I kind of go straight for like the chicken, stuff like that, grilled chicken. But pretty much that's all it is. I'm just sitting there trying to think. I really don't like thinking about the game, the day of the game, until I get there. I like to, because I feel like you can get over into it and then you're too jittery. So I just like to keep my mind off of it, and then when we get to the stadium, it's game time, and then you start thinking about it. But that's pretty much it.
There you go. So you got your routines. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty much biscuits, gravy, bacon, hash browns, except for life, and a Dr. Pepper, but y'all don't drink that. So, all right, Coach KP. Tomorrow, kind of one of those deals. One of my favorite parts of Hoosiers is when Norman Dell goes, "Welcome to Indiana basketball." What is welcome to playoff football like for you, and what will it be for you over the next 24 hours?
Yeah, I think it's about the players. It's about going 1-0 this week. If they do that at home, they'll be 12-4 over the past 3 years. These couple of guys sitting right here next to me, it was pretty impressive. I think their conference record is 15-5. They've been the conference runner-up in the Western Athletic Conference. They've been the United Athletic Conference champion, the first team in the history of ACU football. To make the playoffs, and now it's about trying to win a playoff game and continue to on that track to win a national championship. And these guys right here, they've left their legacy on ACU football.
Well, and again, we've enjoyed watching it. And what's great is you can tomorrow, 2 o'clock, tickets. You can go find them. Go to ACUsports.com. Find a way to get tickets. 2 o'clock. Weather should be great tomorrow, I think. I would say chilly doesn't matter. It's playoff football, and it's amazing. And we finally have got it up to the NCAA. RIP Mike Leach said it's amazing. Every other division does playoff football. might as well Division One as well. Guys, thank y'all for coming in. Shout out, we got Kimberly Schaefer, love from Arizona, appreciate it. Revel, how do I say it? Ivania, there you go. Hey, download, subscribe, rate, review. We'll put it in there that way. All right, we just got 3 new podcast followers and 3 other here. Appreciate ACU Wildcat football tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Northern Arizona coming to town. We're going to send them back with a loss and tell them all about it, and family members as well. Appreciate them. When we come back, we'll get Colin and Evan's thoughts, and then we'll start looking at some picks and take it or trash it from the NFL. We'll be back right after this.
Good job, guys. Good job. Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Here, we'll get trying to get a photo.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Good luck tomorrow.
Listen.
Dominate.
Heard you got to play Santa.
I didn't see a picture of that.
Hey.
Sam, you can put a few more pounds in there before you say that.
I was about to say, hey, appreciate it. We'll get a photo. If it makes you feel better, we were looking at that photo. Tracy's on that campus, and all Tracy's family goes, man, that's a skinny Santa. So that's good. They say, I'll take it there. Y'all just get it here. We'll get in. We'll get there. Yeah, I'm a little guy.
All right, here we go.
That's perfect. Hey, appreciate it. Thanks. Hey, Will, thanks for coming on. Well, I appreciate it. Dan, thanks for setting up. See you tomorrow. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah? That's awesome.
Go to where? Yeah, Best Buy.
There, guys. Thanks again.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Used to do a timeout. And you'd be all ticked off if you missed some segment that you wish you didn't.
Because will there be 2 more or just 1 more segment?
We'll see how long this takes.
8:30.
Very. Am I wrong? But Northern Arizona is one of those that sometimes lands in their basketball team has made the NCAA tournament.
Who again?
Northern Arizona.
I feel like they have been, for sure.
And maybe they upset somebody a few years ago. That may be Northern Iowa. You know, we could do picks.
They are 0-2.
Yep, Evans picking, Lynn. Got people walking. Brian Wright is the head coach.
He's first year. I looked him up this morning. He was like at some NAIA school for a while. It's like done pretty well.
Pittsburgh State, that's where that,
Yeah, without the H.
that's where that Blake Carr kid went from,
Oh, from Clyde?
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack. We're rocking and rolling. Hour number 2 brought to you by Coleman County State Bank. We're glad that you're with us. A lot of people walking around shopping. Bags are hopping out the door. Be sure you swing over here to the Mall of Abilene. Get your shopping in for Christmas, or maybe this time to get a good deal for yourself. Again, we are brought to you by Lila Land and Cattle, where you can go get a Hodge Pack. Get one this weekend. Tell them you heard it on the show, and great food, great stuff there at Lila Land and Cattle. Get a break from maybe the regular stuff that you've had, the regular Thanksgiving, even though unfortunately mac and cheese did not make it to the Harris house, which may be a small crime. Maybe Peyton can talk them into it today, or Luke, or one of the grandkids. Hey, what do they call Jill?
Lovey.
Lovey, get on that mac and cheese, Lovey, let's go. And Jill, if you're watching. But big shout out, I don't know if they're still listening, to the folks, Revel and Kimberly and Yvonnya, and those folks out there listening with our AC Wildcat Hearts as they get ready to play Northern Arizona tomorrow. Exciting time. I know we look at college football, and there's a lot of talk. Of course, College Game Day will be in Kyle Field, College Station tomorrow. College Game Day as Texas and A&M get back together. But exciting stuff here in the big country when it comes to college football for Abilene.
Yeah, pretty cool to have a home game in the playoffs. First time ever in the history of ACU. That's really awesome to have that on a Saturday.
And then you throw in Hardin Simmons getting to play tomorrow as well at home against Mary Hardin Baylor, and maybe have a chance to make that run for the first time, as Coach Burleson, to really make a big push. Again, Coach Leach always joked about, I'll never forget that press conference when he said, all these other people that have the playoff system, and for some reason we can't. And now we do have a bit of a playoff system in NCAA Division I with that going on. And so instead of doing the taking the trash shit, we're going to dive right into our picks. That way we have plenty of time to talk. And then if we have time, we will go with our taking the trash at the end. Let's dive into our picks. Oh, you didn't know. Our guest pickers are going to be the Harris brothers, Colin and Evan. Again, trying to, if you want to get away to win the championship belt that's over there, that is still belongs. The defending champion is Mr. Papa Greer. But it is time for picks. I've got Misty and Josh's. No, I'm not cheating off them. We'll talk about these. But again, our picks, our Pick'em Challenge is brought to you by Fat Matt Roofing. Fat Matt does that.com. Appreciate Fat Matt and all that he does in the community, and the people that work with him and do so much great stuff. And if you need roofing needs, give a shout out to Fat Matt Roofing. All right, let's dive in. Again, a lot of games. Will was a little disappointed we didn't have the Arizona State game on. Again, that's probably more on, Josh didn't pick that one. It's real simple.
Yeah, we can blame that on him.
We'll blame that on Josh. He's probably in a deer blind or gutting a deer. I don't know what he's doing. There's no telling what Josh is doing. But some of these games are definitely some tough ones. We're going to go down to the we'll start up. We'll just go through order. Oklahoma State and Colorado. We mentioned last week's game. Unfortunately, Kansas has been literally, you want to talking about ruining parties, wedding crasher, whatever you want to give it. Kansas Jayhawks over the last 3 weeks have done just that, ruining Iowa State, ruining BYU, and now ruining Colorado. Deion says Shadur and Travis will play in a bowl game if they don't get in the playoff. They need a lot of help to get into the playoff, to get into the Big 12 championship. And I'm going to ask y'all this. Is Mike Gundy, I talked to somebody a few weeks ago, and they said Mike Gundy right now is fine. Maybe very similar this year. If it repeats next year, then you start talking. But man, for a team that started on media day with a joke about Ollie Gordon and rushing 50 times has turned into a big dumpster fire. And they have the same colors as the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if there's a relation.
The seat is warming. I got a couple of cowpokes, some friends of mine. And, I think donors and fans are starting to get a little tired of the Mike Gundy bit. So we'll see what they do in the offseason and see how next year begins. But it's definitely starting to warm.
I always get a little frustrated whenever fan bases want to fire the coach or get rid of the coach that's been so successful for 2 decades. But I get it. It's a new age of college football. We want to be in the playoff. We had high hopes after last year's team. So at the end of the day, it doesn't surprise me those seats won't win.
So looking at it, Josh, Ed, Misty both have Colorado. Who do y'all have?
I'm taking Colorado as well. Oklahoma State goes 0-9 in the Big 12 this year.
Prime doesn't lose 2 in a row. Colorado.
Yeah, I have Colorado as well. I agree with you, Evan. I don't think they lose 2 in a row, and I just don't think Oklahoma State has found enough in them to turn the tide, if you will. And Gundy better get on the recruiting trail and get something going pretty quick. Next one, a team that has been creeping up, and it's not Clemson. South Carolina's been kind of that sneaky SEC ruining of things, if you will. They beat Texas A&M when they came to town off a big win. South Carolina is very good. Josh and Misty both have Clemson, and everybody knows I'm not going away from Dabo. I've got Clemson.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Fighting Shane Beamers here. I think Dabo's got to go to the portal this next offseason. He's got to start.
And so you going South Carolina?
I'm going South Carolina.
That's double for the Harris brothers. Gamecocks. Shane Beamer gets it done.
Having to do it as Dabo runs down the hill. A game that didn't make it is the one in Syracuse that has a lot riding on the other game that we'll get to. Oh, come on, Josh. Cleveland, California, and SMU didn't make it? Good night, Almighty. I guess that is my fault. I did read it. All right, there's 2 games that are important that aren't on there. California coming to SMU. ACC, good thing superintendents didn't have to look at that travel budget when that changed, because I know some superintendents that would have said, no way, Jose, that's all the expensive trip from California, Berkeley to Dallas, Texas. And then Miami to Syracuse, 2 big games that have implications on how important that Clemson, South Carolina game is. We're not picking them for pick 'em. It's not on the pick 'em sheet. But who do you have winning SMU, California, and Miami and Syracuse?
I'm taking SMU, and then I'll take Miami as well. I just don't think either one of those teams, Cal or Syracuse, can hang.
I agree. SMU definitely will hang on, and I think Cal will keep it competitive for a while. They have a good quarterback. And, of course, the Miami game, I personally think that Miami, they'll probably come down the wire just like every game I feel like they've played all year, but they're just a better team than Syracuse.
I've got Syracuse. I know that part of that's going to be I want them to win to give Clemson a chance to play SMU in the ACC championship. I do agree that SMU wins. Been a very fun story for SMU this year. But I think Kyle McCord, a guy when they started off were kind of hot. Syracuse was on a roll, but not enough. So I've got Syracuse, go Orangemen, and go Mustangs. Kansas and Baylor. Josh has Baylor. Misty has Kansas. This is another one of those games that Kansas can be a bit of a spoiler. Baylor already bowl eligible, kind of in that we're in the Big 12, but we're not doing as great. I've got Baylor. I think they're playing better football. Being at home, if it was on the road, I would go with Kansas. I'm going Baylor at home.
Both teams have kind of riding the ship this year. Obviously, with Baylor kind of getting bowl eligible the last few weeks, but I'm going to go with KU. I think they keep it rolling in Waco.
I have a Baylor Bear in my house, so I'm going to pick Baylor. And it's kind of reluctant because I will say I think Kansas could upset them on the road.
And so far, they've not bothered wherever Kansas has been. They went to Provo and beat BYU. Again, taking care of Colorado last week in Iowa State. But I think Baylor being at home will be a big win. 11 o'clock kickoff tomorrow, Texas Tech, West Virginia. An opportunity where you thought things were great, and then Baylor came to Lubbock and kind of ruined the time. And then Tech went to TCU and followed it up with another rough week. But Tech and West Virginia, who you guys got?
I will be in attendance, and I think the Red Raiders take care of this on Senior Day.
Get your coonskin caps out of here, Hodge. Wreck them.
I didn't think there was any chance y'all would take West Virginia, even though every Saturday Pat McAfee thinks they still have a chance, and they don't. West Virginia has been kind of that upset, kind of in that middle of the pack team, but I agree. Texas Tech wins that. Again, I don't see them losing 11 o'clock game, got to wake up early, tailgating. Be interesting. So y'all, you don't have to tell me what you do or anything like that, but so will Raider Alley, how early will that get rolling for 11 o'clock game?
7:30.
Yeah, somewhere in that window.
Oh, wow. There you go.
I'll be on the road.
Be on the road. Safe tailgating. Good job. All right, the guys are just in the room. Hopefully we're smarter than Josh is sometimes when they're in the room, and Josh is not here, so you don't have to worry about it. Last time he was in here, we had ACU, and he picked Tarleton. It backfired on him, but benefited the ACU Wildcats. Northern Arizona coming to ACU. Josh and Misty both have ACU tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Kickoff. Who you guys got?
Big day on the hill tomorrow in the city of Abilene. Scratching cats.
Same thing. Go with the home team, ACU.
Yeah, again, see, Josh, that's how you do things well, at least they weren't in here. And it'd been bad if he'd done it that time because there was just two of them in the room. There was 3 players and Coach KP, and I think Sam would have might have got in on
I think
that.
all of them could beat us up.
Yeah,
Especially even KP could.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Kansas ACU for me as well. We'll go a lot of college games on the slate because such a big weekend. We're going to save number 6. We'll go Kansas State, Iowa State. Big 12, trying to figure out who wants to win it, who's going to get in the Big 12 championship. Josh has K-State and Misty has Iowa State.
I'm going Iowa State with Jack Trice, Rocco Beck. He gets it done tomorrow.
Yep, home team night game. Give me the Cyclones.
Who'd you go with?
Iowa State.
All right, so y'all went to Iowa State as well. Man, Kansas State, Iowa State. Looking at it, you got K-State at the bottom, in the middle, at one of the 5 and 3 group. I think Iowa State is probably going to be good enough to win. I'm going to go with you guys, and Josh will be the lone K-State guy. BYU and Houston, another team that I think has been very disappointing, is the Houston Cougs. They've made the move to the Big 12, not very good. BYU, Arizona State, most likely, this is going to be all y'all in a minute. We'll pick these and I'll ask this question. Josh and Misty both have BYU. Does anybody have Houston?
I live there, and I'm still not taking them.
The Cougars will win this game, but I'm going to take the BYU ones.
Yeah, good call. I was fixing to say, what are you smoking? Okay, so if BYU wins, they go to 7-2. Arizona State again didn't make the deal. Arizona State goes 7-2. Iowa State wins, they go 7-2. Colorado wins, they go 7-2. Hang on, let me go conference. Yeah, I'm in conference. What is the tiebreaker?
First, it's head-to-head, and, if you have common opponents. But then after that, I believe it's some sort of
computer model.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be like what we do when we have that little pick 'em and you have to go through, okay, top ranked team, tied. Oh, you pick the 20th ranked team and you win. I think that's what it's going to be like when they start trying to figure that out when it comes to pick-ems. All right, the big game tomorrow, it's going to be right here on 106.9, the Country Giant. You can listen to it here. Texas A&M haven't played since 2011. A lot riding on it, not as much, but still as much as it could be because it's a chance to play in the SEC championship. And so I'm glad it's happening. Y'all? I mean, I know you're tech people. I get it. But for college football, it blows my mind for nothing but dollar amount, TV rights, everything that comes with it. It blows my mind that these two couldn't figure out to play sooner than 2024.
No, I agree. I mean, it's just a bunch of egos not wanting to play each other. But finally, they're having to in the same conference. Also would like to have some of our other geographical Texas, rival games come back too. But we'll see if that ever happens.
So, like, what are some of those?
I want Tech to play Texas A&M. Let's go.
Okay.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think all of the college football, the way that it's gone with the bigger conferences and stuff, has taken away your geographical rivalries. But this game being back, I just hope the SEC doesn't ever mess with schedules as we evolve in college football. This game needs to happen every year.
Same weekend.
Yes, it always needs to be Thanksgiving weekend. I would have loved for it to be last night, but at the end of the day, Saturday night's going to be great. That atmosphere in College Station, man, they are going to be rowdy. 110,000 people.
All right, who you all got?
I spent a year in Austin and hated it. And then this is a shout out to my boys playing ACC South today, but I'm rolling with the Aggies.
All right, there you go. Playing Colin taking the Aggies. Josh and Misty both have UT.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Aggies also. I think it's an upset. I can't stand Texas, so go Aggies.
Okay, so if that happens, Texas loses. Texas has to sit and wait and see what happens.
They'll still make it.
Do they need Georgia to? Well, if Georgia, I think Georgia beats A&M because A&M's shown not to win two big games back to back. If Georgia beats A&M, does that put Texas in, or does it, no matter what happens in the SEC championship game, if Texas loses, does Texas stay in?
I think Texas is in basically at this point, no matter what. They'd have to lose two, which there's no way for them to do that because they'd have to. You can't lose and still make the SEC championship game if
Right.
you lose. So
So
I think they're in.
I've got Texas. I'm going with Misty and Josh. I've got Texas winning that. So there's no doubt on that. Hey, we're going to come back. We'll do some take it or trash it. We'll pick our two NFL games right after this.
I circled Texas, but I switched to A&M because I think that they're going to pull it off.
I'm going back and forth.
Even without Le'Veon Moss. Like, I will say if they had Le'Veon Moss, I'd take Aggies, and I wouldn't even think about it. But
And I think they ought to have Black Friday every Friday. There's all these people walking by. Yeah. I did. But I got y'all bacon, egg, and cheese. I got you both the same.
no, I always tell people, I'm like, Hodge is the only person I know who eats bacon and beans.
And I'm going to tell you, not long ago, I asked the guy, I said, what's your go-to? He says, I like that, but I had chorizo. And if you go bean, bacon, potato, chorizo, and cheese, it's pretty much game changing. Guess we won't see if he's going to can. Man, I thought they might have fired.
Eberflus by now.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I think the hard part is firing a coach mid-season is like, you got to have somebody to coach the rest of the year. Yeah. So might as well just go ahead and let him do it.
Already on a couple coaches already. The part of the season. Position coach.
Yep. Who's Albany playing?
Yeah, Munster.
Yeah, Munster.
That'll be tough.
And then
Cisco and Stanford.
is Stanford good enough to go all the way?
I hear they're loaded.
Yeah, it's not there as well.
So you think that's why Hodge came back, or
You don't come back just to build a rebuild. You don't unretire to rebuild a team. I say that. That's my.
I agree. Chuck E. Cheese after.
Hey, one time it was one of the first times we were over here. The guy came in, and our sound was going through one of their video games.
Seriously? Was he excited about that or not?
I think he was confused on why it happened.
That's funny.
It's like, yes, we made a video game.
NBA Jam.
That was a great video game. We went and took Tracy to see Wicked the other night again. Done that with the
Hadn't
kids.
watched it yet. We went and watched the best Christmas pageant ever. You know, it was one back in the day. It's pretty good. I like the original one, but I mean the new one's good. Solid. I want to go see Gladiator.
So we took him to see Gladiator.
I want to go see Gladiator too. Not with kids.
Detroit Lion fan.
Okay. They get good. Start playing.
Bandwagon.
She's just in for Thanksgiving.
We are bringing the action to you, and 106.9 is bringing the action to you with Texas A&M football again Saturday night, 6:30. Rivalry reignited, first time since 2011. Justin Tucker with a game-winning field goal, but it'll be back at Kyle Field this Saturday night. Of course, the Cowboys yesterday. Cowboys coming off on we got a 2-game winning streak, and the Bengals coming to town for Monday Night Football. Again, one of those opportunities where the NFL, when they first started everything, was great script, Dak versus Joe. Instead, it's going to be Rush versus Joe, and all the things that the Cowboys will be able to say we've won a game at home, and so maybe they can start a roll. Again, yesterday, the Bears losing to the Lions 23-20. Saw a Lions fan walking in here, doing a little mall walking as well. Eberflus, as of now, that I've not have seen, is still employed. And the Packers beat the Dolphins last night 30-17. I wrote down on my notes that the Dolphins probably should look to try to go to the AFC West, to where they play a lot more warmer games, and Tua can maybe win more and dictate that. But anyway, we got a few more games to pick. Again, a couple of NFL games. I think it's a big weekend. Some games that didn't make the pick sheet, which again, Josh does 10, so it's kind of hard to get all of them in. Again, our picks are brought to you by Fat Matt Roofing. 2 games I think that are crucial for the playoff run, crucial to that are probably games that nobody thought would be as good. I think the Steelers-Bengals game they thought would be good just because of the AFC North. But Joe Burrow and all them trying to be spoilers, maybe the Kansas, if you will, of the NFL. But the Steelers having to bounce back from losing to the Browns, I think it's a big game this week. And so that'll be interesting. But the other one is, I don't know if you had Arizona on your bingo card of being actually competitive. The NFC West is a bit of reminds me of back in, we'll go baseball. Remember when the AL West was like terrible and everybody was below 500 and whoever got to the false teeth on the counter first was going to get win the division. But Sam Darnold kind of been the surprise as well as the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals with Kyler, I mean, I felt like they would be competitive. I just didn't think they'd be where they are.
And again, they're only 6-5, so it's not like they're groundbreaking, amazing 10 and whatever like the Lions are. But they've been in every game, very competitive. And when Kyler Murray starts running, it looks like a video game.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, he's one of the most dynamic players to play the
Was he hurt much last year? Because to me, he would be one I would throw in for maybe comeback player of the year.
Was he hurt most of the year?
So he was for the first part, but it was the year before when he tore his ACL. So he missed only the first few games of last year before he played with Cliff was still there at that point. So
right. Well, let's finish ours, and I've got some take it or trash it I'm going to throw at you. Our last 2 games are only 2 NFL games to pick. We're going to go to 10 first. And this is a game that the networks thought everything would be good with Brock Purdy versus Josh Allen, and they would be, maybe 9-2 or something instead of 6-5. The Bills are playing fine. Bills look good post Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. They're literally on coast mode in the AFC East. But again, the old 49ers going the other way. Misty and Josh have the Bills. I think there's no way that the San Francisco 49ers, people are hurt, kind of a cluster. Not saying the culture's bad with Kyle Shanahan or anything like that. It's just not been their year.
No, and regardless of Purdy plays this weekend, I think going to Buffalo, Bills Mafia, Bills take care of business.
Yeah, Bills all the way. Josh Allen over Brandon Allen every day of the week.
Yeah, there's no chance there. Ravens Eagles. This is one that I think it means more, and you can kind of take it or trash it. I think this game, and start or take it or trash it. This game means so much more to the Ravens than it does the Eagles. And Josh and Misty both have the Ravens, but I think this means so much more to the Ravens than it does the Eagles. Take it or trash it, and then give me your pick, Colin.
I'm going to take it because it is a very important game. I mean, obviously the Ravens sit 8-4 in the wild card spot right now, but arguably, I mean, I could say the Ravens are one of the best teams in the league. I think, in my opinion.
But so are you picking the Ravens?
I am taking the Ravens.
All right, so Colin's got the Ravens. Take it or trash it, Evan, that this game is more important to the Ravens than it is the Eagles.
I am taking the Ravens, but as far as taking or trash it goes, I think it's more important for the Eagles because the Eagles still have a shot at taking down the Lions at that number one spot in the NFC. And it is so important with only one bye now to have that spot. If you're in the running, you really want that spot because you want to be able to rest your guys at the end of the season for possibly 2 weeks. Maybe play them a little bit in that week 17 game, but at the same time, you want those 2 weeks of buys. But I'm going to say trash it because I think the Eagles have a legitimate shot of taking down the Lions in that top spot if they can get some luck.
But, we all talk about how great the AFC is and how open it is. But if you look, the AFC is 9-2, Bills leading the East. Steelers are 8-3. Baltimore's 8-4 currently. And then you got the Chiefs that are 10-1. Everybody else is kind of just in the middle. But then you look at the NFC, and then you got the NFC North is probably the best division in the league. You take out the Bears. And so I feel like the 9-3 won't hurt the Eagles as much as possibly the 8-5 could if you don't finish strong as the Ravens. So that's why I think it's more it's a bigger game for the Ravens because if the Steelers win, which I think they'll beat the Bengals, if the Steelers beat the Bengals, now it's more separation between the Steelers and the Ravens, and I think the Steelers are going to need to figure out a way to win that division to get a home game because I don't think there's enough juice in Russell Wilson to make that happen. So in that, you've got the Ravens. Who do you have?
I took the Ravens too.
I am the lone person, and I don't like it, but I've got the Eagles because I think the Eagles maybe Saquon Barkley has saved Nick Sirianni. Take it or trash it. Saquon Barkley has saved Nick Sirianni's job.
I would say 100% he has.
And he probably could save the Giants, GM, if you re-sign with.
See, I don't know that Barkley would.
I don't think he's that good.
Much for.
You're probably
the
right.
Giants.
Just because they're so bad, the Giants are so bad offensively across the board. But you're probably right. But at the same time, it's tough if you're a Giants fan that you watch Saquon Barkley go to your division rival and
possibly be the first MVP that's not a quarterback in years.
Correct.
So do you got to take it or trash it?
I'm taking that one.
Okay.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, Hurts and Barkley together is a dynamic duo.
It probably reminds him of Jalen playing at Alabama, having a stud running back behind you, ready to roll, and good stuff. So, yeah, I've got the Eagles winning that. And I think best team in the league, Chiefs, Lions, or Eagles?
Lions.
Lions, man, they're good.
I think the Lions are too, and I think it's good for the NFL, good for that season, that team, that city to be good. But them, Ravens, Bills, all of them, until you figure out a way to do it in the playoffs, it's not going to matter. Hey, guys, we appreciate Harris, guys. Appreciate y'all coming in this morning. Hope it was fun.
A lot of fun. Thanks for having us
Enjoyed
on.
it. Thanks, Hodge.
We'll try to do it again. Misty and Josh and I will be back next week, and we will see what happens over the weekend. College football, Texas A&M, Texas right here on 106.9 The Country Giant. Don't forget, you got Red Dirt Proud, Greg Austin, great country music. Get to the Mall of Abilene, go do some shopping, go find some great places to eat, Lytle Land, Mulligan's, or Potosi Live. Appreciate y'all being here. Take care. We'll see you next week.